So many gremlins tonight. I am so sorry this has gone a lot later. It's starting a lot later than I expected it to. It really has been a challenge. We worked very long hours. I was up this morning at 4:30 a.m. and I drove about an hour to work, and we started setting up in the darkness. Got set up, started our day at 7 a.m., shot until the sun went down, wrapped out in the darkness, drove an hour home, and that was the time the live stream was supposed to start. Now, I've recently moved, which is why the background has changed. So there'll be a video coming about that eventually, but the long and the short of it is, this is the first live stream I've done that's not part of StreamYard. I did the live stream with Cujo and Greg and Scott talking about the TX Advanced software app, and we did that. That was cool, but that was using StreamYard, and now I'm using OBS. And OBS, apparently there's been some driver update, and so it insisted on me doing a driver update to my video card before it would allow me to do a live stream. And then it did not. It continued to throw the same error, so I had to look up the error, and it says it was streaming to the wrong thing. It basically was pulling the wrong, what's the word? It was pulling the wrong video card as trying to stream to that. So I got it straightened out, and then OBS just was not acknowledging my camera. So it took a little while, but now it's set up. So sorry for the delays. Here we are. We're here. I'm happy to be here. There is 7 people in here right now, and I did post earlier on Twitter. No, well, I did post on Twitter about doing the live stream tonight, but I also posted about in the what's the tab? The community tab. And I mentioned that I was going to be doing a live stream tonight, and if anybody had any questions, I would gladly take them. Now, I did get a couple of questions there, and there was only one that I said I would start with. I'll lead with that tonight. So there's the question. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. And I know, Wote, you had posted a question, and I have no idea. I didn't even bother reading it because at that point I was just trying to get the whole thing set up. It was crazy. So I didn't even bother reading it. I figured that you'd probably be in the stream. So here is the first part of the question, and here is the last part of the question that I'm going to lead with tonight. And then I'm going to read that live, and then we're going to start off. So yay, OBS, fun. Okay. So here we go. Actually, let me get back in the right window first. There we go. Okay. So the question is, some mic reviews will mention that a particular mic takes EQ well. What does that mean? Why is that the case? Usually what that would mean is that it is detailed enough to, like some microphones, if you start to add equalization is distortion. So if you start to add EQ, what that's basically doing is just distorting certain frequencies, warping it in a sense. So if your microphone is high enough quality, it's detailed enough for you to add equalization and for it not to distort too much, then that's what it basically means by it'll EQ well. I just threw an error. Okay, well, we'll see. Well, I just threw an error saying that please use keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. Currently, keyframes are not being set often enough, which will cause buffering. The current frame frequency. Okay, let me see if I can do another live stream where I fix the stream in the middle of the thing. How in the world do I do that? I'm looking in my OBS settings. Output, stream. I mean, you guys tell me. How is it? Does it look okay? Is the stream okay? Is it acting up? I don't even know. I'm just going to let y'all tell me if there's an issue. I'll go ahead and take the second part of this question. Okay. Assuming that it is a desirable characteristic, are there specs that one would focus on to determine whether a mic takes EQ, a flat response, anything else, TIA? Well, I have a video called "The Spec That We Want But We'll Never Get." I think that's what it was called, and it was basically detail. Because detail is one of those things that a microphone company will never ever put specification on detail, because it's one of those things like if you go into Photoshop and you hit sharpen on a video, there comes a point when it looks sharp, but then you sharpen it again and it sharpens, but that's an undesirable amount of sharpness, and it doesn't seem right for that particular image. And then if you continue to sharpen, it becomes almost grainy and like it looks bad. Well, there's no real way of making a quality, like a detail specification for a microphone, because first of all, a manufacturer wouldn't want to do that, because how would you grade it? Is it good to have a rating of, let's say, 7 out of 10 or 8, or let's just say they gave it a weird number up to like 80? Well, what if one microphone like from Lewitt only was a 34, but it sounded amazing? And then another microphone from Lewitt had a detail of, let's say, 72, and it didn't sound near to see detail in a spec. I mean, it doesn't exist, and you have to. That's one of the reasons why I say you have to listen to a microphone. So is there a desirable characteristic? Yeah, listen to it. If it sounds good, it's good. Usually, I like detailed microphones. So I'd say if it's detailed, then you're gonna probably do all right with it. All right, let's go ahead and start at the top. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for making educational videos. Thank you, Woat. Hopefully that's your name right. Let's see. I love your channel. My boom op bought half of the cold weather gear you recommended when I showed him your channel, Alberto Garcia. Hopefully it's working out well for him, because I share what I like and the things that work well for me. And if it works well for someone else, by all means. I've been sent a lot of pictures, and people sometimes will find me on Twitter and they'll send me a picture, something like that, through Facebook, or they'll send me something through Twitter and they'll say, "Hey, check this out. I have the same thing. I have the thing you recommended." I'm like, "Cool. How's it work for you?" I love it. Great. Awesome. But the thing is, though, it's not everything is for everybody. So some people might not like wearing all black in the summer, head to toe, including, the gloves and that kind of thing. Some people might not like wearing a hat and the sun hoodie. I'll tell you right now, with masks still being a thing on some shows when you do exteriors, I really do not like the neck thing that normally would pull up on the bastache or bastache, whatever it is, because I end up having to wear it around my neck all the time because of the mask, and that ends up making a little thin line right here where I'll get like tender skin from starting to sunburn. So what I end up doing is getting frustrated by that, and I go back to my Columbia one sometimes. The only problem with the Columbia one is it doesn't actually have a thing that loops onto my finger, so it doesn't have a finger loop that goes onto the thumb. So I do like the bastache. I still wore it today. I wore it today on set. So anyway, love it. So hi there, Jace. Hi there, Nordium. Hello, Heather. Great to see you. Yay, OBS fun times. What good? What's good? I cannot stress enough how much I love OBS. Yeah, it's a great software. I want to work with studio feature films. Should I join the union? Good question. That is a personal decision. Depends on your market also. It depends on your experience level. If you don't have a whole lot of experience on set, you might want to get some before you consider joining a union. If you're in a small market and there's really not a whole lot of union work, it's not going to do you much good. If you're in New York, LA, you're in like the Orlando area, Louisiana, Atlanta, you're not necessarily going to be a lot of people that are going to it says it's excellent connection, but then it's sitting there spiraling around. So hopefully you didn't miss any of that. But you see, when you join the union, they don't help you find work. You have to have contacts for that. And so one of the things you'll do is you try to make connections and stuff, so that way you're working, and you got to get a certain number of days when you go into certain unions. If not, you join as a non-journeyman, and that's if they even have the books open, which I think most unions do at this time. But Whether it's going to help you or not is going to depend on your experience level. If you're brand new and novice, you might want to try to get some experience. That way, if you're called to do a union show after you join the union, you're not going to fall on your face. So anyway, that's a personal decision. If you want to give me more details, shoot me an email and I can help you regarding your market. Give me some details. I need to actually know about the details in order to help you and guide you in the right direction, because I've helped many people join unions and that kind of thing. And some people have said it's not the right thing for you, I don't think, at this time. And there was one guy who I remember he was gung-ho about joining the union, but he decided he didn't want to spend the money at the time. I said, you're going to make it back real fast. He did not join. And then and I contacted him about 18 months later and said, now is pretty much the end. It's about to change. So if you want to join now, we can get you to work. And he said, yeah, it's just not a good time for me. He called me like 6 months later and says, now I'm ready. I'm like, too late, man. Sorry. It's not a good time to join. We are saturated. I could have gotten you in at the time. He's like, oh, come on now. There's got to be a way. I'm like, there's not a way right now. Not for a green person, man. So, I mean, I'll be upfront. It's one of those things. Being direct is a blessing and a curse. People like you shooting straight with them until you tell them something they don't want to hear. And then it's like, you're the enemy. Sorry. Oh, let's see here. Production Sound, Texas. Okay, that was your answer. I'm here at the start. Extra points for being early. Yes, indeed, Heather. Oh, Top Buck's here. Everything looks and sounds good. Looks good. Looks all right. Well, I mean, I am on camera. Can't see any issues. Seems fine. Looks great. It should be keyframes. Give me a second. I'll tell you where. Okay, settings, output, streaming, max B frames. Okay, well, let me look at it real quick. And let me see if I can actually do this while we're live. Settings, output, streaming. Settings, output. It's on streaming, and now I'm not in the chat window anymore, so I can't see it. Streaming max B frames. Okay. Max. I don't have that on the screen. Not replay buffer, recording, streaming. Yeah, I don't have anything that says, oh, max B frames 2. Didn't it say it wanted 4? And like my setting was 8 or something? I'll drop it down to 1. I'll drop it. I'll put it on 4. See what happens. I don't know what that thing does. If the whole stream, I mean, it's throwing an error message there. Please use a keyframe. What does that say? Frequency of 4 or less. Current keyframes are not being set often enough, which causes buffering. Current keyframe frequency is 8.04 seconds. Note the something. All right. Stream health. I don't know what you're telling me. You're saying the stream quality is poor. The stream status is poor. Serious issues that need attention. Okay. Well, we'll see if this is. I might just have to take the quality down. I think this is going out in 1080p. First time I've ever done that one. Let's try it. Let's try lowering the max B frames again to 1. Let's see if it changes anything. Look ahead, profile, preset quality, performance. I'll do performance instead. Let's do performance and see if it changes anything on the fly. Okay. Hit OK. Let's see if it corrects the thing. It still says stream status is poor or whatever. All right, let's get back into chat. I mean, if you can hear me, then we're all right. Hey, Alejandro, how's it going, man? Don't worry, the stream looks fine. Okay, cool. What's the next piece of gear that you want to purchase? Oh, do you have any gear purchase regrets? Oh, that's a good question, Jeff. I tell you, I'm torn between two things. I want to get some transmitters because I want to do more videos with regards to wireless. I think it's important, especially with regards to frequency modulation stuff. It's just the problem is when I moved out of my old place, I had to scrap my background, and I did not realize it until I took the thing down. I have a time lapse of it. It'll be in my video about the new studio. And it took me a while to take the whole thing down, but then I realized that I was not going to be able to get it small enough because the background, it seemed like it was set up fine, but then it looked like but then it wasn't done right. The background piece itself, where everything was stapled and connected, I wasn't able to take it down and collapse it. Like the background was a shape like a squared off U like this. It was supposed to fold this way, and then it was supposed to fold back the other way, so that way that each it looked like an N, you know, the letter N, and it would accordion out like that, and then I could wrap it with stretch wrap. It wasn't made that way. It wasn't made properly, you know. So what it was able to do is fold upon itself, and then it could not close properly, and I could not get that size small enough to be able to get out a door. So even when I took out the hinges, I was not able to get it small enough to go out the door. So I wrapped it with stretch wrap, put the little indicator on it. I said, I guess I'm gonna just have to, you know, get rid of it. And so it broke my heart, but I had to scrap that background. Now, the guys who took the background out hated it because, you know, you got to remember it had multiple layers of acoustic foam on it, had metal, it was held on by screws. There was screws sticking out the back of it, apparently. And I found those when I was taking it apart, but I used gloves. And because of all the metal and stuff like that, they had to cut it into literally 3 sections in order to remove it. And my wife said they hated it. They were cursing, not liking removing the background at all. So what I've done is I've set up a different background now. It is something that I can take down and move with me in the future. So that's going to be nice. But with regards to gear purchases that I would want, I'm thinking about transmitters. I mean, I would love to be able to get Electrosonics, WizzyCom, Zaxcom, something like that. Truth be known, though, I'm not a sound mixer, and I spend so much money on this channel. I mean, it's seriously ridiculous. In order to set up this background the way it is right now, I have said I probably spent, I think I tallied it up last week before I spent a couple more $100, and it was $1,700. That's not including the Atom Audio A7Xs that I did a video on and the Sub 8. $1,700, and then that was what? It was like $2,800. So right now, just in this little area, this 4-foot square area that I'm in, I'm already in over $4,000 just because I moved. So it's ridiculous. I'm terrible. So what do I want to get? If I could get a new microphone, I would probably get a Shep CMIT 5U, not because Mike Dog Audio did it. As a matter of fact, keep tuned on his channel. You're going to see an interview with me, and I consulted with him before he did his video. But the Sheps is one that I've had my eye on for a long time. I've used it, you know, first time I used it was on Walking Dead Season 1 with the mixer I'm working with right now. I've used it a lot over the years, and I'll tell you, it is bright, but it is a very it's a very smooth and very detailed microphone. And I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. I don't like the brightness of it, but it's very forgiving. It will make you sound like a better boom operator than you really are because it's very forgiving. It has a lot of reach. Doesn't have a whole lot of rejection, in my opinion. Well, I mean, you can play it the right way. You can play it the right way. You can make it do what you want it to. If you're novice, it'll be very forgiving and make you sound better than you deserve to be. If you know what you're doing, you can play the pattern and make it work really well. So in that case, I really like it. And so I would actually like to get a Shep CMIT 5U, but I don't have the $2,000 to do it, especially after spending all that money on the studio. And then I would probably, if I could get transmitters that would be functional, but would still be good enough quality for me, I'd probably get the Sony UWP. Either I would probably want to get like maybe 3 of each block, so a total of 9. If I wanted to spend $4,000, I could do that, or $5,000, whatever it is. I would buy probably 3 of each block, which would be up to like 470 to, what is it, 560, 550, something like that, and then it's around like 520 up to like 608. And then the second block is the 19 megahertz band between 941 and 960. That way I could play with some guard band stuff. But that's what I'm looking for. That's what I was looking at, and that's what I'm contemplating. So as soon as I finish setting the studio up, and I have spent so much money on this place, it's ridiculous. And so I need to get a few videos done, and I need to make some more money in order to throw at setting this room up properly. I mean, I've got the studio set up, but you know, more or less, it's still I still have to unpack boxes. I still have to do some stuff to make it work. But like that light is flickering at me right now. I don't know why. I'll have to troubleshoot that. Yeah, it's probably just not making a solid connection. But I haven't lit this place yet. This is the first. If you watch my last video, it wasn't. I just basically set up and I was not paying any attention. So this light is 56K. This other light over here was set to 3200. So my stream looked like, my videos look like this, didn't it? And it did not occur to me until after I shot the thing that it looked like a nightmare. And I'm like, oh, great. Because this side is 56K. This side is 32K. I'm like, you know what? Some video person is going to tear me apart. That's fine. You know, whatever. So anyway. But yeah, that's what I need to do. That's what I need to do. I need to finish kind of setting up this place. I need to actually organize and sort. And then once everything is, I've spent money on what I need to set this room up the way I want it to be, then I'll probably buy some transparent. I mean, if someone wanted to, if you had an interest, I could set up a wish list someplace. And if y'all wanted to, you know, pick something out on the wish list and have it sent, I mean, that'd be fine too. I mean, I don't ever ask or, you know, I just like to concentrate on education. I don't ever want to ask anybody because I'm like, look, if you get value out of what I do and what I teach, cool, you know, but you don't have to, you know, participate. It's me. It's what I got to do for me. And it'll make me happy. I'm random and weird. So anyway, so, let's see. Let me get back into this. I don't need to talk about that anymore. Okay, but thank you, Wote. Woote? Don't worry, the stream looks good. Okay, good. Next piece of gear I wanted to purchase either a CMIT 5U or probably some of those Sony UWP transmitters. What do I think about the Earthworks Icon Pro? Cool. It's good. You know, it all obviously depends on you and what you like, but yeah, I mean, it's a fine. Earthworks makes great stuff. Regarding your cable wrapping video, is it applicable to all kinds of cables? Great question. Not really. It's not advised for you to do that with a stinger. Stingers are wrapped over and over and over. You do not want to over under a stinger, just like you do not want to over under a grips. Well, you shouldn't touch the rope anyway, but they go over with theirs too. It is basically a sound related thing or a video cable thing. I mean, if you're doing video cables, if you have a sound card and you run your own power out, some people will say, oh, well, it's power. You should run that over and over and over. The reason why electricians run things over is because they want consistency in the department for everything. But it's not something that they can actually actively do. When they first get like 4-odd and they put that together, they can't over under that. They have to do a figure eight of it. They have to lay it out a certain way. When you get yourself some header cable, that comes on a big spool. You cannot train that cable. So it all comes over. So they consistently do over because all of it comes in a big reel. Whenever you make stingers, over. So they say, you know what? We're not going to retrain this cable. So they just get it and then they unwrap it like this, or they'll take it and they'll have to take it out and they'll have to twist the thing around to lay the thing flat. But it is basically a video cable thing, like a BNC cable. And then it's also something that you do with sound cables. If you want to do your power cables that are running to, from the sound card or your follow card or something like that over, and do that over, you can. I always run them over under. To me, all sound related cables are over under. It was a DPA thing. It was basically for 40s, 60s, but then they started making concealers were made for other brands of microphones, for Sankens, for Countryman's, that kind of thing. So concealers now, the idea of them basically being a little mount that you put a lav on and you put it on that and it isolates, it's a great thing. And some people, complain about it and they're just, So they'll complain about it, and you know, you can complain about it all you want. The thing about it is, if it sticks out too much for you, fine. I mean, you might need to go into a low profile mode if you have someone that's wearing a skin tight shirt. If you put Dwayne the Rock Johnson, or you put Vin Diesel or something like that, like on the Fast and Furious movies where they're wearing like a spray on type top, you can hide a lav in there, but probably not if it has a concealer. There are some people, like on Vampire Diaries, that you could not, they had sensitive skin, so you could not stick anything directly to them. You could not stick it to the shirt, so that's when you have to use what we commonly refer to as a mic bra, which is basically like a little piece of elastic that goes around, and it looks like kind of like a bra, like the strap on the back. So if there was ever a scene where he would have to bend over, this is Ian Somerhalder we're talking about, if he had to bend over, he was very self-conscious about the line showing up there and making people think, are you wearing a bra? No, it's a lav thing. It's what we call a lav bra, but it's just a strap that you put the microphone in, and it's very low profile, but it allows us to put a lav on someone who has sensitive skin, and you can't mount to the shirt. So it's but yeah, I mean, concealers are great, and you can use them on most wardrobe. You can very easily hide them, and lavs are a tricky thing. There's many different ways to do lavs. When I have taught an in-person wiring class, what I always do is I bring in a male and I bring in a female. And what I do is I have them take off their shirts. Now, the male obviously can won't have anything on from the waist up. The female will always I either tell her that she can wear like a bathing suit top, or a sports bra or something like that, obviously. But what we do is we talk about the lines of the human body, and which lines that you can trace with the cable, how you have to strain relief, and we talk about where you can hide where you can hide the cables, where you can hide the lav, and then I have them put on different types of wardrobe. So a loose shirt, a tight dress, all these different types of things, and we do that. The problem is, if I did this exact same thing on YouTube, first of all, there'd be very immature people and very immature comments. They would not think of it as, oh, you're just doing this from an educational point of view. Sure, I could do it without a male and a female taking off their shirt. Sure, I could. I could use a dummy. The thing is, though, when you take off of a shirt, you can see every little bitty detail of like a ridge on a guy that goes through here. You can see what it would look like if you tape something a certain way. And then you can see what it is if you throw on a shirt. Then you take it back off and you do it the wrong way, and you show how it works. There's different advantages and disadvantages of being able to do it when you have someone that's willing to take off the shirt. So that's something we would never do when we're wiring talent, but in a class environment, I always do it. Because to me, it's very important for you to see, because look, we're all adults in the class that I teach. And so it's not like anyone's going to be oogling or making any inappropriate comments. We're not about doing that. If you really are going to be that crazy, go online and look at something on your own spare time. But the thing about it is, in my classes, though, I want to give people information, and I want to talk about different types of skin of skin tags, skin prep, different materials you can use, waterproofing and stuff. So what we'll do is I'll show you how the skin prep works. I'll show you how different types of tape works, and we'll say, okay, which one is better on the skin, which one is harsher, which one, when you tear it off someone's skin, does it leave a little bit of a red spot, or are they all good? And that's one of the reasons why we do things the way that we do in those classes. And I could do something like that on YouTube. It could go bad if it was a live stream, unless it was like a paid class. I could do it as a paid class, because then people, I would trust them to be mature enough. But I'm not going to go ahead and just do it as a regular live stream like what we're doing right now. Because if I did that and I had a male and a female here without their shirts on and we're talking about this, someone was going to come in there and start making some stupid comment. And I don't want that to happen. All right. I'm going to crush this real quick. All right. Missed. Okay, so, yeah, don't even think about the prices of gear anymore. Just click buy and pray the balance doesn't dip too low. Yeah, pretty much. Or I use a credit card actually, and then I just pay it off. I pay it off at the end of the month or whatever, because I get points on it then, and that's cool. What's your favorite album of all time? That's a tough one. And the reason why is because I like different kinds of music. I will tell you one album that I really like is The Crow. The metal that's on that is just every single song on that is, with the exception of like one, is really awesome. But two other albums that were really good that I have fond memories of is Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, and Dre the Chronic. Those came out in the early 90s, and both of those don't have a bad song on them. I also like Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. That's a great album as far as I'm concerned. Like some of the compilations that Kiss did, like I think Smashes, Thrashes, and Hits was a really good one. So I'm not the most creative, because normally when people say, what kind of music do you like? I'm like, I like good music. That's just, I like a lot of 80s dance. I like a lot of 80s music in general. Usually, like when I was testing the Atoms and in my studio here, I was putting on Microchip League New York, and just blasting it. As a matter of fact, here's a funny story that just happened the other day. I have my headphones on. I'm brain dead. I'm barely able to stay awake and stay focused here. The Atoms, the full range speakers are turned off. My sub, normally I will turn all the way down on the crossover, and I'll turn down all the way on the level. That way, basically most of the bass and everything is going to come out of these Atoms up here, and I don't use the sub. So basically it's only going to allow it to pass anything 35 hertz and below, and that's if I have it up over here. I wasn't paying attention though. I had the Atoms off, and the sub was set the right way because I was watching some stuff, and I had the amps up fairly loud because I was blasting it, to test some stuff. And when I turned up the MoCo passive level, I forgot to turn it down. I was so brain dead I could barely focus, and I just had my headphones on, and I was blasting bass just out of the sub, and the full range speakers were not on. So I'm brain dead. I'm just watching the screen, and all of a sudden my wife comes in and she startles the crap out of me because she'd been knocking on the door, but my headphones were on. So she knocks on the door, and I'm like, what? And she's like, your sub. I hear the bass. I'm like, oh crap. So that was kind of funny. You worked on Walking Dead. So did I. So did I, with a question mark? Work on post VFX. Oh, okay. What year decrypted? Which season did you do? I did the second half of season 7. I did all of season 8. So there's a few things that I remember from VFX I won't get into unless decrypted you're still here and you tell me that you worked on either of those seasons. I want to ask you a couple of questions. I've skimmed through the master book for acoustics engineering, and it and many other resources recommend Corning 703. It's unobtainable in my current location. Would 4-inch Rockwool acoustic bats do just fine? They should. Well, and then Coyote even below that says Rockwool should be just fine. That's what most people use. Acoustics, I think, or sound treatment or something like that. In the link of both of those, there is a really cool video. It's like Bob Gold, I think it is. It's something that I found one time, and I said, this website is indeed gold, but you could not search for it. I tried searching for it again, and I could not find it. Luckily, I was able to find it only because I had sent it to someone. I was like, who did I send it to? Who did I send it to? When did I send it? I searched all over the place, went through all my emails, sending to certain people, and finally I found it. I'm like, what? Now that I found you, I'm not going to let you go again. So I put a link to that, and he did some really cool things where what he basically did was he put all the information, he number crunched, he put it all together so that way you would have all this information right there in front of you with regards to the testing, how each Owens Corning 703, 705, if it's up against a wall, if it's 6 inches out from a wall, if it's 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, Rockwool's in there. There's a whole bunch of different things. As a matter of fact, if somebody wants to get it and post it, it's like I said in those videos about acoustics. Acoustics 101, SoundSpeed's Acoustics 101, and this one thing you need to know about acoustics. I think it's Bob Gold is the website, bobgold.com or something like that. But if someone wants to get it and post the link there, I would be very grateful. and that would be something that you can go through, and it has like a whole bunch of different kinds. And NRC and STC are two things you need to know about: sound reduction coefficient, and then sound sound transmission class. The difference is STC is like sound going through a surface. So if, for example, I started in the middle of the city and someone built a concrete wall and ceiling and floor around me, and it was, let's say, 3 inches thick, let's say 3 feet thick, and it was dense concrete, metal, things like that are very difficult for something to go through. Those for sound to travel through, that will block sound from traveling through very well. If it's thinner, if it's softer, it's not gonna do very much at all. Now you may say that's pretty good. That's soundproof. Well, it is soundproofed, but if I were to speak inside of that room, it's going to reverberate all over the place. It's going to sound terrible. So that's when you need to use soft things that have an RC rating of at least 1.0, and preferably in the lower frequencies as well. And that's going to absorb those frequencies. So that way if you say something in there, it's not going to echo all over the place. It's going to absorb those. So STC is the sound going through something. You want that to be dense, thick, hard surfaces. And then NRC is a very soft thing that absorbs the acoustic reflections inside of a room. And that Bob Gold website is very good about that. Let's see here. Thanks. Is there some kind of room calculator which you can do on how many panels I should buy and purchase? My room is not rectangular, and I have no idea what to do with it. Okay. What I would say is start in the place that you're going to do the recording and clap a few times and listen to what the sound does. Hear how long it takes for it to vibrate through the room. It might be that it vibrates very quickly off of a couple surfaces right next to you, and then it dies really quickly, in which case you might want to treat those surfaces and then take a reading as to where you are. If there's a lot of different echoes coming from different places, your brain will calculate it real quickly. As soon as you figure out what those are, spot treat something, put something on that wall, put a panel there. If you're trying to test some things to see how many panels you're going to need, try hanging up some moving blankets, or hang up some clothes or something like that. Hang up something soft, a few blankets, to at least see how it does. And once you kind of take the curse off of the room, look at how many panels you're going to need at that point, because that would give you a better idea of exactly what you're looking at. Let's see here. There we go. All right, let's take the next question. That would at least be where I start, and you can shoot me an email if you have any additional questions after that. I'm looking into getting more PS and NES games. Do you have any you recommend? I guess that's PS1. Well, I've not been a huge gamer, but when I used to play the PlayStation 1, it was only usually Final Fantasy 7. I mean, I'd play Gran Turismo a little bit, but never really played the SNES. I would play Mario Kart maybe if I was at a friend's house. PS1 game, that was really only Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 7, man. That's my favorite game of all time. I really love the Works for Mike. Absolutely. It's great. I know you're a sound guy, but I thought I'd ask anyway. Yeah, absolutely. Looking, appreciate it. And I definitely appreciate the $5 donation. Voted Private Uploads. I really appreciate it. It definitely will come in handy. I am I'm still in the process of trying to set this place up. I have bought quite a bit for the studio, and I just need to set it up. Now, this is actually, I must say, this is pretty clever. When you see the video about it, it's pretty clever. One of the things I did not think about is the Adam Audio A7X is there. My monitor is here. The Adams are there. When I sit here and I take my headphones off and I talk, I can hear my voice bouncing off of that monitor a little bit. It's not bad, but I do hear it. I also hear my voice coming, believe it or not, bouncing off of the ceiling up there and coming back through underneath the monitor. So I have to do a few things to play around with the acoustics, and I bought more stuff like 2 days ago. I literally have a constant flow of things. I have 2 boxes right here. Well, a box and a bag full of stuff that I need to take out and implement into the system. And I'm also so bad that, like, with the TX Advanced app that I got, I reached out to Greg, and he said, sure, I'll send you the tuner and stuff, because I was actually originally, when I first saw it, I was like, I'll check it out, but I did not have high expectations. I literally kind of rolled my eyes at first, and then after a while, people were saying, oh, this is really cool sounding. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep him open mind, and I'm going to at least do the research. I'm going to at least reach out to him and see if he's interested in a video. If not, I might do something. If not, but then when he sent it to me and I started toying with it, and I was like, oh, this is actually cool. And I kept diving deeper and finding it was even cooler and cooler and cooler. So at that point, I was like, man, I really need to play more. So I bought a Galaxy Tab A7 for that. It actually has 4 speakers Dolby Digital in it, but I bought that specifically for using with that app. The problem is it does not come with a fast charger. It does have fast charging on it, but when you use the OTG adapter, even with fast charging, it does not have the ability. The fast charger barely can charge the laptop. It barely keeps it at full power. And it takes, like, if you're at like 73% or something like that, it takes like almost half an hour to raise it to 94%. And then like another half an hour almost to raise it to 95. So it only goes up like 1% every half an hour or something like that. It's ridiculous. And if you plug it up to an OTG adapter, no, it's not going to work properly. So with the Y, it throws an error. As soon as I take it and plug it into my phone, no problems. It loves it. So what I did, being a typical Alan, is I said, you know what? I'm going to repurpose the A7. I have the Atom Audio A7s. I have all these A7s now. So I'm going to repurpose the A7 into a tablet that I use for watching, detailed watching and viewing and stuff like that, because I don't have a TV in here because I really don't have the space. So I'm going to use that for that purpose. And then I bought, what was it? A Lenovo Tab M7 Gen 3, I believe. Was a fairly inexpensive 7-inch, but it's got a micro USB. So as opposed to a USB-C, which USB-Cs you have to be careful about. Yes, it is a higher voltage potentially. If it's USB 2.0, a USB-C 2.0, it's not going to charge nearly as fast as it would if it was a 3.0. And the A7 only has a 2.0. So if you connect it up to a 3.0 fast charger, it's not going to register the extremely, it's not going to register anything more than a 15 watt, power source. So I bought the $50 45 watt version from Best Buy, only to find out that it's still going to charge at 15. It's still not going to power the OTG adapter. I was hoping it would, but it doesn't. And so I bought another laptop or another tablet in order to use. And this one has a micro USB. Micro USB comes in different variations of power. I think when you had USB 2.0 was 0.5 volts. USB 2.1 was 0.9 volts. And USB 3, if memory serves, was 2 volts. So 0.5, 0.9, and 2. I could be mistaken about that. But either way, normally devices will have the ability to accept more power through a USB-C, but it'll charge fine with lesser, like if you connect it up to a 2.1 or 2.0. So what I'm hoping is if I give it like a full 2 amps, I'm hoping that it will be able to power the OTG, and that way I can leave it connected to power all the time and leave it on the cart or leave it on my Boom Caddy. So of course I had to have an arm that holds it too, and I had to get a case for it. Just me being ridiculous as always. Okay, let's move on. Yes. So I know you're so there you go. And then I very much appreciate it. So he said PlayStation 1, Tom, like the Earthworks gives you the most works. Chrono Trigger is an amazing okay. Oh no, I mean, oh yes. Oh yeah, okay. I've trolled Ono Coffee quite a bit in his streams. He basically sits back and he chills and he smokes cigars and he tells stories and he what else does he do? He'll drink, fine things, I guess. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't do anything except ZipFizz, and that's not really a drug. That's just something that I love. It's a kryptonite thing, and it's not even really the energy as much. I can choose. I've gotten to the point now where I can choose the effect I want ZipFizz to have on me. Literally go to sleep. I'll just take a ZipFizz, I'll chill out, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go to sleep now. And that's the way I do it. And it's funny. So anyway, let's continue here. I do have a ZipFizz here, though. What I need to do is drink a little bit more of this because I have too much water in there right now. Anyway, I've intentionally been saving up for the ZipFizz. I see donations coming in, so very much thank you. I'm going to have a ZipFizz in celebration. Here's some good questions here. Oh no, yes, okay. What's the status of the Boom Buddy? Okay, still being made. That is a wonderful question. Keith, who was the original founder of Boom Buddy, retired last year. He sent me a message saying that he's no longer going to make them. And I was like, no. Here, sell me a whole stock of them. He's like, oh, I'm not making them anymore. I'm like, do you have any in stock? No, I've sold them all. I'm like, so you mean to tell me I can't get some for my... He's like, well, hold on a second. I'm trying to sell the company. And what was it? What was the company that bought them? Mac Sound. Mac Sound out of the UK. I think they founded in 2019. But Mac Sound, I believe, is what it is. If you go to my Boom Buddy and Boom Swinger video, down in the description below, I put the most current information. Their website is now active. Mac Sound now officially owns them, and they are in production there again. So you can buy them in America. Gotham Sound is the exclusive dealer for Boom Buddy and Boom Swingers, and I strongly recommend them. I love them. They are wonderful products, especially the Boom Swinger. The Boom Buddy, there's other products that are very similar. I do like the Boom Buddy a lot. It wasn't just me saying that in my video. I do like the design of it. I like the fact that you can put it where you want and how. I like how it adjusts and that kind of stuff too. The Boom Swinger, though, that's a badass piece of equipment to me. Very small, low profile. You can put it on top of a boom pole and you can swing around a boom while resting both your hands. It's awesome, provided someone's not moving. So there you go. There's your update on Boom Buddy and Boom Swinger. Talking about sound carts, does yours change constantly from project to project where you're pretty much dialed in? I use my Boom Caddy. Now, the sound mixer I work with, those people will have things certain ways. The sound mixer I'm with right now, she'll basically buy what she needs to set up her equipment properly. She's using a sound device, a Scorpio. She's got a couple of D squared. She's got a Venue 2. She has other Venue 2 that she's not using right now. Uses all digital hybrid electrosonics. We use wireless designer and coordinate. We have WYZICOM antennas. We have low or no loss cables. I mean, we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, and we have everything we need to, basically. So that's that mixer. I normally would work with Aaron. He was part of the Epic live stream. He has a system with audio limited A10s. He's still using the 788T, and he uses digital hybrid electrosonics wireless also. Most of the time mixers fall into two categories. They'll either buy gear and use it until it dies, and then they'll replace it, or they will buy gear and then stay on the cutting edge, and then they'll sell it as soon as the newer, hotter thing comes out, or they want to try a different platform or whatever, and then they'll do that and move on to another total piece of gear. And when they do that, they basically just take a small loss because most of their gear still retains its resale value. So like if you bought a transmitter, let's say for $1,500, you'll be able to sell it for $1,450 maybe, or $1,400 if you need to move it fast. Someone will buy it. So they're able to turn that money around and use it on something else, as opposed to someone who will use the same transmitter for years. It will eventually start acting up, and then it will still retain pretty good, resale value. It might be $1,200 as opposed to $15 though, and people will use those until they die too. So just really depends, but it depends on the kind of mixture that you are. Me personally, I'm a boom operator that stays on the cutting edge. So as soon as I hear about something new, I want to try it. As soon as I hear about something, I want to try it. And I'm not opposed to buying stuff. It's just I buy so much stuff for sound speeds. And I don't ever return anything either. So if I buy something and it turns out it's a wrong size or wrong connection or wrong configuration or something like that, I'll just donate it, or I'll give it to someone who needs it, or I'll throw it away. Depends on what it is. So I mean, I'm terrible. I bought an HDMI switcher a couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We were setting up a game room for the girls in the front of the house, and when we did that, I bought it. I said, now I can get a switcher where if they want to play the legacy PlayStation 2, they can play it here. They can play with this, and I bought converters to convert those into HDMI. And I said, then you can actually press this if you want the Wii U, and you can press this if you want, all the different game systems, and you can press this for TV, and like split 4 different ways. And I liked it. I thought it was pretty awesome. I went over it with my wife. She was all gung ho. She's like, yeah, sounds great. I bought it. I connected it up, and then when I went and got her, I said, I want you to check it out. And she then said, it's not a box, is it? I'm like, what do you mean, is it a box? And she's like, I don't want a big clunky box. So she went in there, looked at it, shook her head, and said no. I'm like, I told you the size it was. And anyway, she had to see it before she was going to determine. And well, I unplugged it all, and then I ended up having to do something totally different. But I ended up basically saying, well, I could return it to Amazon, but no, I'm just going to throw it on the shelf. Never did anything with it. Eventually just said, yeah, I can't do anything with this. I threw it out. So, I mean, I'm terrible. Okay. Hi there. I'm going to be working on a small and very reverberant room for a short film. I think that lavs will only make it make the trick. Is also that have to be a 100% wireless due to space. Okay. If it's a small room, are they seeing most of it? I mean, you say it's a small room, so you can't get a boom in there. Lavs will make the trick, since it will also have to be 100% wireless. If you can tape a couple of ferny pads or moving blankets to a wall, or if you have the ability to have the grips bring out a gobo arm and a C-stand, you basically thread the gobo arm and make it like into a T. And then kind of like what I did in my video that says, I show you how to make a makeshift vocal booth for under $100. In that video, I use those T's. I use, well, actually, I think I used a lighting stand T's, but you could very easily tee off a C-stand and use that, and it's going to work great. You're going to have some really good results with using that for acoustics, and they'll use spring clamps, number 2s probably, and they'll connect those up. And so you'll have a very, very effective, well, I mean, it'll take the curse off of it, soundproof room. If you would see a stand in there, that's when you tape it to a wall if you can. If you can't tape something to a wall, well, you're just going to have to deal with it. Probably not going to be able to do much more than maybe carpets on the ground. Maybe covering over a table or something like that if you don't see it when you punch in for coverage. Just really depends. Made it that time. All right. Can always deactivate comments for any live tutorials as well. I could. But the thing is, though, I think the comments and questions that would come would be very important. Should I also consider a cardioid or a hypercardioid or any other advice? You could. If someone's sitting down, most likely a cardio would be better if you get a microphone close, because it would pick up more of the room, but it would pick and sits back and then gets in front and sits back. Then maybe something like a super hypercardioid pattern microphone might be a good benefit. That way you can play, you could cue off of the table in the video, like I show how to use a shotgun microphone indoors. you cue off the table more, like with the angle more like this at you, and then when the person sits back, you square it up more. That way, you're getting more of the chest frequencies that you're cueing off of the table, and you're going more toward the mouth. So you might hear a little bit of detail lapse unless you are very good at cueing your microphone and you stay on top of it. You have to anticipate the movements. So there you go. The Chronic is a solid hip hop, but my 24-year-old niece tells me that it's old people hip hop. You know what? So what? I like old people hip hop. You have no idea how it would bring together a group of people in school when people of all skin colors and all backgrounds and stuff like that could all enjoy the same song, the same music and stuff like that. It was awesome. It was awesome. We'd all have something. We'd all sing the words and stuff. I'd have to go muting on, certain words because this is Dre and Snoop we're talking about. But I tell you, being able to know those lyrics and shout them straight out, and people be singing the lyrics and stuff like that in school, it was really awesome. So anyway, so he said that he was there for the first 3 seasons. Awesome. Decrypted. That was when they went to, I think at the end of season 2 is when they went to the prison. Season 3 is when they were at the prison. I did some on season 1 and some on season 2. I don't recall if I was there for season 3 or season 4. I did some on one of those. I mean, basically, I just was day playing second unit stuff. Never full time. I drank a ZipFizz for you today. No water, just powder. Yeah. That's awesome. Craig, you got to tell me what you thought of it. Me, I love it. I mean, I follow ZipFizz. Actually, they follow me back on Twitter now. But as you guys know, I've loved ZipFizz for like years and years. When I was on Walking Dead in 2016 and 17, when I was on other shows before that, I'm a fan of it. I love it. And it had no sugar, and it's got some great flavor to it, and gotta love my ZipFizz. Which is why it was so funny in that Curtis Judd React video recently, because it was just, I expected there to be a little bit more liquid, but I drank too much of it. I was like, well, we'll see what happens. Okay. Thank you very much for the donation. I know we're so far behind schedule. Let me turn on timestamps here so I can see exactly how far back I am. Toggle timestamps. Yep. Did they go away? Oh, no. There they are. How could I not have seen them before? There they are. Okay. So we're typical Alan, 20 minutes behind on timestamps. Thank you very much for the donation. Voto private uploads. I am recording a VO tomorrow. I have a Shure SM7B and an AT4053 available. I'm recording in a 12x12 room with heavy carpet, three whiteboards. I have 5 sound blankets available. What would you recommend I do for the best recording? Okay. Let's see. I would probably say you would probably find the best results. What I've usually had success with, and this is going to sound weird, a 12x12 room. Okay, let's see. If I did this for a movie called, it was a Kevin Kline. We did Kevin Kline and Susan Sarandon voiceovers for the movie. I think Dakota Fanning had some too. It was for The Last Robin Hood. What we had is it was a closet. And what I did was I had them not just in the middle of the room. I put them slightly in one corner, but it wasn't like only like 2 or 3 feet away from the background, behind them. I moved about a little bit farther, and then I put up 2 moving blankets, furny pads behind them on that wall, and they were out about 4 feet from it. I did the same thing kind of in front of them, so it made kind of a box, a square, but then in front of them. So the point kind of went out in front of them. But then when I did in very front of them, like in the middle, I had a Fernie pad that was folded in half, so it was vertical, but it was folded in half, and I put that on a C stand that was mounted with a T also, and put that in front of him, so that was actually facing in the middle of the room. That took out most of the reverb. We had a very thin carpet in that room, but I tell you, because the reverb coming off the back wall and it taking the curse off of everything else, that kind of it was kind of a shape like this with a like, if you can imagine, it was shaped like this, and it had like a over again. Then there's going to be the four walls, there to there to there to there to there to there to there, or there, or the same exact thing, there, that kind of thing. And then there's the waves that go every single direction. There are more of those waves. It's kind of like if you were to put a cue ball down in a cue stick, and you close your eyes, and someone said, "Okay, we'll go where you want to line up on that ball," and you hit it. It would most likely hit a couple of banks and might go in a corner or a side pocket, most likely a corner. There is a possibility that you're going to hit it and it's going to bounce off of four and just go in a big triangle. It's also possible that you're going to go back and forth between two walls. Most of the time, though, it's going to be the waves that go everywhere. Same kind of thing as applies to acoustics. So as it does pull in that sense. So what I would say is, as long as if you get into the room, clap, hear where the reverberations are, put up Fernie pads and block that off, and then you're probably going to be doing okay. If you then clap again and hear what the reverb is coming back from, again, and that will help you kind of dial in on the acoustics if you have 5 moving blankets. That's probably going to be your best bet. And I think you're going to get some good results, especially if you have a big, thick carpet. Stargate? First 3 seasons. I guess you did Stargate too? Thank you, Alan. Love your mini card game. Mini card game. Which one was that? My brain is totally fizzled out right now. Love the mini card game. Studio build video. Yeah, I'll end up doing that. Hello, I like to hear is where the cool people hang out. If I knew where the cool people hung out, I would be there. I'm not a cool person. Hi, yayo. Is there any advice for exercises to hold the boom more time without pain or feeling the arms tired? Why do you have to hold it in a way that's painful? If you go to videomantis.com and you buy Ken Strain's master boom class, one of the things he does is he talks to you about is about the fact that long takes are destroying your body. And so one of the things he shows is how you can get away with holding a boom without it hurting you over the course of time. And I've done quite a bit of that in my classes too. It's funny, when I came across Ken, I had no idea who he is. Just all of a sudden, another person whose name I didn't recognize showed up on social media. We get those all the time. People that show up there new. A lot of people ask boneheaded questions or answer really boneheaded. But when Ken started answering from the very first time he answers something, I kind of, oh, look at this answer. This guy knows what he's talking about. IMDb'd him. I'm like, oh yeah, he's got like almost 3 decades of experience. Of course he's going to know what he's talking about. And he does. And in that Master Boom class, he talks about a few techniques you can use to not kill yourself. And it's funny because I came up with the same exact conclusions for myself and in what I was doing, because in the Atlanta market back in the day, no one was really teaching. Now I'm the teacher. Now I teach a lot of people, but a lot of it I had to learn through basically screwing up and a lot of that kind of stuff over the course of time. Made a lot of people mad on set as I was figuring things out. Okay, but to give you an idea about some exercises you can do, if you do, almost like the chicken flap type thing. Here's the thing, your shoulder, the way your shoulder is made is it is a ball that goes into a socket like this. Okay, when it's sitting there relaxed, it's kind of shaped like this. Goes in there. As you start to lift up your arm, it's going to kind of hit the edge of that little bone there, and your arm shouldn't really be able to go higher. So if I put my palm facing straight toward my side down here, and I keep my palm downward, I don't do anything with my arm and shift it around like this. If I shift around with my arm like this is me cheating. If I just keep my elbow toward my body and my palm facing my body and I lift up my arm trying to go over my head, you can do the same exact thing. And it stops right about here, straight out. You may say, but no, well, the thing is though, your shoulder is made about like this. So if that ball starts to come up, it hits a stop right there and it can't go up any higher. So what you do, if you have to go over your head with the pole, is you act like you're trying to put your shoulder blades in your back pants pockets. So what you'll do is you just lower your shoulder blades. So if I'm sitting here, I'm going to lower them, like trying to get them in my back pocket, which means I end up straightening up my chest, and I basically will end up sucking in my butt a little bit too. And that will pull in the strength on your core. So when you do that, a lot of sit-ups are going to be helpful because it strengthens up your core. If you want to also do butt exercises, you can too, but put your shoulders in your back pocket. And then what's going to happen is when you do, so watch this. As I do the same thing again, my palm goes up and my hand goes down. There, it doesn't go up any higher than that. It starts to hurt a little bit if you try to force it. But, excuse me. So what I'm going to basically do is hold my arm. I'm going to drop it a little bit. A few different things. You can lock your arms, or you can just hold it in front of you, or you can, some people will do this or this. You know, it depends on how you're doing it. But the biggest thing I would say is do sit-ups, strengthen your core. You can obviously do shoulder rolls and stuff like that. You can also do like flaps, like, elbow coming straight up like this. I will also find myself almost like curling inwards like this, where I'm just basically giving a full range of motion and stretching. You can do this number. But I find, believe it or not, that because I don't put myself in very difficult scenarios that are very, very hard and punishing on my body, I usually find that it doesn't help me a whole lot to stretch out. I can, but it doesn't benefit me a whole lot if I do a big amount of stretches or anything like that before. That's just me, though. You definitely probably should consider doing something if you're thinking about it, and you might be having some body limitation issues or something like that you might need to work through. Also, another thing to think of is just a lot of mechanics that will work over their heads too. And if you talk to a doctor, say, is there anything like that you normally recommend for mechanics that will be working over their head or something like that? Because some of that stuff will also apply to you. They have to hold things up and do extended takes or extended repairs and stuff like that under a vehicle. Okay. Must be amps. Lately, I've been wrapping my boom cables with baseball bat style grip tape. Yikes. Can you imagine any problems that this might create? It probably is helping with handling noise. Truth be known, I personally am not a fan of doing something like that. It makes it more difficult to slide your hand. And I find that boom poles are much easier to maintain and easier to manage if they are not going to fall apart or introduce sticky stuff to it in the heat or anything like that. So I try not to put anything on my boom poles. That's just me personally, though. Other people can do other things. But that's the big catch, is that you said, can you imagine any products that or any problems that might arise with this? If it gets hot, it can be very sticky. Like it'll start to run a little bit even. So, yeah, you want to be careful with those kind of tapes, because they may absorb some handling noise. But the trade-off is, especially as we start to move into the summer months, it'll be very sticky on your hands. As soon as you start to just fold a little bit of one back, or it gets overly hot, it could start to get very, very quickly, it can start to get sticky. And once it starts to go sticky, it's going to be a big mess. ZipFizz is a drug. It very much feels like one sometimes. How often do you suggest a sound mixer or boom operator, boom up, set appointments to see the ENT specialist about their hearing? That's a good question. There's a sound mixer I work with who has said that what he wants to do is schedule as a wrap gift an ENT appointment with us to go and get our ears cleaned. I know there's now tools you can get, the little spiral thing that goes in your ear. There's ear scrapers that have cameras built in. Look, I even have a video that says don't scrape out your ears because it's just not worth it. Even if the camera looks like it's doing something right, it can still do other things and mess up your hearing. You could push it through too far. There could be a delay. There could be a lot of things. If you want to use something like that, by all means. If you want to try the ear candle trick, I've heard mixed results about that. I've heard that it doesn't really work because all it basically does is it puts a little candle in your ear, and as it burns down there, basically the heat will warm it up, and it doesn't really suck out a whole lot of the wax. But then other people are like, oh no, it's great, it's brilliant, I love it, look what it did to my ear. I mean, it's your choice. An ENT specialist is going to be a better way of actually cleaning out your hearing, and if you're a mixer, considering it as a wrap gift to give your team is actually a really cool thing to do. Or make a day of it. Say, after we're done loading out or in the middle of the day or something like that, we're going to go to an ENT specialist and they're going to clean our ears, and then we'll continue. So maybe, it's a really cool thing to do. I'm in Las Vegas, and the summer sun absolutely cooks the black poles. And in the summers, I absolutely cook the black poles. Yeah, probably, if you're talking about booms. And thank you again. Thank you, Darren Land. I just glossed right over it because it's a different color. Thanks for the over-under video. Greatly appreciated. Use the technique today after a live stream video conference on 6 25-foot cables. Excellent. Well, you may have had to retrain yourself to do it the right way, but I'm sure that you are doing the best cabling you've ever done, if that's the case, because it's a really cool technique. I spent a lot of time. I was originally doing it the other way where it was pointing towards you, but after working with a few utilities, we're like, dude, you're going to totally sabotage the department. Don't do it that way. Let me show you the way to do it. I started then thinking about what else was to benefit. And then I realized my speed was what had gotten 2.5 times plus faster. And I started just realizing that it's so much more superior. And so I kind of broke down the technique, the way I taught it. And there's additional stuff that made the cutting room floor. But the fact of the matter is, if you're by yourself, it's your cables, you don't ever have anyone else do it, you could wrap it however you want to. Chain the thing, put it over your shoulder like I did in the parody part of that video. But, the main thing is it functional? When you put it together and then you pull it out later, is it going to be spaghetti or is it going to be well wrapped? Pop a ZipFizz, I just did. That was about half an hour ago. There goes another one. Well, almost drank coffee on the show, and it ties in the channel anyway. Sometimes other imbibing. Anyone here going to NAB? I'm not. I'll be going to NAB, Jeff says. What's a good place to stay for NAB? Those are questions I cannot answer. Do I see a ZipFizz? Yes, you do. Nothing wrong with the Westgate if you're going to be doing close-up conference. What are your thoughts and experiences of XLR snakes and shielded Cat 5? Okay. Okay. If you use an XLR snake, here's the thing. It usually means that you could potentially run into interference if you introduce interference to any of the cables, usually because they're put together and then they're wrapped. There's usually certain amounts of insulation that is not there. So all the cables on the inside will be wrapped around each other. If it's Star Quad, for example, it'll be like 4 arranged like that. And then it's going to have one on the side, one on either side rather, top, bottom, and right in the middle. So that way it kind of looks like it's a little more rounded off. But those little pieces of string that go down the length are going to help it to not be as square inside of the wrapping. And it's also going to add a little bit of more resilience to the cable while still being light. Excuse me. So when you totally fizzled out in my brain. Uh, oh, so if you get a snake, it's best to get something like Star Quad, or at least at the very least XLR with a very good amount of insulation on the backside. You also want to make sure that on the female end of your cables, you want to ground tie it. I do not recommend ground tying off the male end. The reason why, some microphones will have a floating ground. I talk about it in my video called, it's something like, do a search for sound speeds, RFI, or EMI. If you do a search for those, it'll come up with my video. But one of the things I talk about in that is that there is something called a floating ground. If you have yourself an XLR where you have a ground, a positive, and a negative, and you have a floating ground, that means that the shell casing of the microphone is not going to be grounded to the one output on the XLR. If it does not, and it's floating, that means that there's isolated shielding or something like that. It's not coming in on the cable. And therefore, if there's any buzzes, if there's anything like that, it's not going to drain out through the ground. It's not going to. So it's going to retain most of that buzz. And you're not going to like it. The other thing is that when you're talking about digital cables, it's not the same way as analog. In analog, as the signal starts to diminish or something like that, it'll get quieter and it will become more staticky. If you are more the kind of person that that runs a cat cable for your audio as opposed to an XLR, then the thing to keep in mind is when it converts to digital and then sends, that signal is not going to have noise on it. If you run a digital cable along the ground and it crosses over power lines and stuff that would create hisses and stuff like that in analog audio, it's not going to, provided the signal gets all the way through. If the signal makes it all the way to the other end, you're in good shape because it's digital. Once it converts from analog to digital, it is no longer going to be a concern for like things like noise floor. It's going to be fine. The big thing you got to keep in mind is that those that when you run a Cat 5 or something like that and it has to get to the other end, it would potentially have to convert back to analog. Depending on what you're going to be doing with it. And that also means the rules may apply differently to how it works in preamps and with regards to using the preamps of a certain recorder versus another one. There could be analog preamps, it could be digital preamps, and then of course is the ADC. Okay. Oh man, I'm so tired. My brain keeps wandering. I'm sorry. Doc Justice says, if anyone wants to register for NAB, feel free to use his code LV42688. Thank you so much, Doc, for sharing that. If you could only have one shotgun mic in your kit, what would it be? An DPA 4017B. I love that microphone. It is very neutral. It is not flattering. It is not forgiving. It is just a bare bones microphone that has a super cardioid pattern and a short interference tube, and it has low noise, but it sounds so good to me. It doesn't embellish and try to make things sound more cinematic or compensate for lost frequencies that would most likely coming in from something else. But personally, I love it. I love the DPA 4017B. It is a wonderful sounding microphone. It's very clean, very open, very detailed. What are your thoughts and experiences? Okay. If you could use, okay. Subway shooter was caught in front of my building. Lots of sound guys there. I spoke with a sound guy about his K-Tech. Huh. Oh, Todd Weaver's here. SM57 is still the best boom microphone of all time. Okay, Todd. Friend said it wasn't very nice at Jeff. What are you referring to? Westgate, okay. My friend says, very nice. Thanks, Doc Justice, hanging out with live sound people. Do you think skills, priorities, best practices for apply pretty much for both disciplines? Both disciplines. What disciplines? Hanging out with live sound people? You mean like live sound versus production sound people? I mean, usually a lot of the skills translate. You got to remember that on stage, you're trying to get a performance. Basically, you're trying to take your microphones and stuff in there, and then basically project it and amplify it out to the audience. So, as opposed to going straight into a recorder where things are going to be quiet and maintained quiet the whole time. So, there's different priorities. Let's see. But I do like how close it is Convention Center right now. Okay, Morning AB talk. What do you think about hiring a fourth sound person to wrangle hard-lined lava? Brett Murray has been pushing for a revolutionary technique. I don't know. Cujo posted something about that earlier today. I want to ask him, since I know Todd is. I did do a post on that. What do you think about hiring a fourth sound person to wrangle hardline lava? Not regarding lava, but a fourth in general. Stargate Studios, the company where we did VFX for The Walking Dead. Thought you had a story about VFX. Yeah, but it was season 7. You should definitely know there's a culture in reality TV that promotes booming over your head. It's very detrimental to people's health. Yet they're looked down on for holding the boom below their own head. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. You have camera operators this day and age that are wearing easy rigs, and they're wearing slingshots and all these different camera apparatuses to hold the camera, and they basically take up all the overhead room. And you could hold a boom up and go right over top of them and then have all that garbage to have to deal with. They turn their head, they go around, they go from one direction to the other, and suddenly they've kinked up your boom or hit your boom or something like that. There's potential issues everywhere with those kind of rigs that hold up cameras. There's not something like that works, that is overly effective for boom operators right now. And I understand the idea of holding a boom over your head, but here's the thing. Takes are getting very, very long. They're getting more and more abusive. They're adding more scenes to the day. There was a show I did some on last year where the director would do it was a feature, and the director would do 15 to 18 takes, and the last one was reset, say it again, reset, do it again this way, reset, do it again this way, reset, do it again this way, and it was over and over again the same thing. And so it's like after you've done 17 takes, then you do the one that's a 20-minute take where you recycle, and he says, let's do this line again, let's do this line again, say it this way instead, say it this way instead, okay, say the next line this way. And then they basically nitpick the thing to death, and it drives you crazy and it kills you. But if you have to hold your arms over your head, you have to hold them over your head. Ideally, because times have changed, you can get back a little bit farther, and you can hold a boom at a lower, more easygoing position, and then not have it necessarily over your head as much, and it's going to feel more comfortable. And especially for long takes and stuff, you're not going to be destroying your body. It's nice. Do you work out before the shoot day? No. Hey, can you go back and read Voto Private Upload's question? They paid and you missed it? Seemed like a good question. I totally suck. Was the product that doesn't exist but should for boom operators? Okay. Well, let me put it to you this way. I don't want to say it here because there is a manufacturer. I have an idea I have an idea. I have a document in my phone that has about 8 or 9 different products in mind. I'm thinking about manufacturers that would make them. I think I found one that I think a company would make the product. Sorry, by the way, Avoto private uploads. My brain is so bad right now. I'm so brain dead. At this point, I've been up now for 21 hours. Yes, 21 hours. And we were shooting in the sun all day for like 14. So sorry, I'm brain dead. There are some products that I have in mind that I would like to develop. And so I don't want to come out with them right now. Some of them I might want to patent. I'm at least reserving the right to, because no one has come up with these ideas, and they would be changing, game changers. Now, granted, some countries may counterfeit them for far cheaper or something like that, and that's fine. I expect them to. Just like, with other products. They'll make fake microphones. They'll make fake quick releases. They'll make fake interfaces. Make all these different fake products. I just would like to see if there's a market for any of my ideas. And there's one manufacturer that I'm going to be meeting with and talking to about some stuff coming up in the next few weeks. And we'll see if any of those come to fruition. I'll just put it that way. But I have some ideas. I give a lot of ideas to companies. So hopefully they'll make some of these. There's one company in particular that I think that if there's a company that would make it the way I suggest without a whole lot of wanting to redesign and why does it have to be this way? Can it be this way instead? I think it'll probably be much more beneficial to us boom ups. Okay. Can you use the SM58 as a boom? No. You shouldn't. Ask you anything. What's your favorite way to cook chicken? With a lot of salt and probably fry it. I don't know. I like buffalo wings. That's probably my favorite way chicken is made. Buffalo wings, extra wet, extra crispy. I like those. And usually with a little bit more meat on them. I don't like the really, really thin ones. So, any tips or tricks? Tell a person who is starting off soldering his own cable. Make sure you have a thin enough point for what you're soldering. Use a good quality solder. Don't be afraid of using enough heat, but not too much. Get a good quality iron. And make sure that it is going to heat properly and be appropriate for what you're soldering. If you use a standard, tip that's like a big old huge nub thing and you're trying to do limos, not going to work very well. I use a really fine tip anytime I make a cable, basically. So I'll have I'll do an XLR and it's very, very fine. I like it though. Any tips or... Oh, I just answered that. What's your favorite audio editing software for post-production? Reaper. I like Reaper a lot. I experimented with other things. I was playing in Audacity. I used to be an old SoundForge person back in the 90s. But I was looking for a new DAW a few years ago. Saw Mike Delgadio's video about Reaper and watched a few other tutorials about it. Decided to try it. Learning curve is a little weird at times. You have to look up answers, but I tell you, it's great. I love it. Do side address large condenser microphones have a place as a boom mic in indoor documentary shoots? I would say you don't normally see large diaphragm condenser microphones. I think that's what you're referring to when you say large condenser mics. I think you're probably referring to large diaphragm. Normally, you don't see that because there's too much bass. You would hear too many rumbling frequencies because most of the time, bass frequencies are going to really pop when you start doing anything that's regarding a large diaphragm. use an Isotope RX. I don't, because I use Reaper, but I know a lot of people that if I have audio that I need corrected or something like that, I'll send to one of those guys, and they'll do a great job with it. Oh man, maybe you should make a how-to soldering video for cables. I did. Leo, look up Little Nitro, sound speeds, world's hottest gummy bear. It in the thumbnail it says this was a mistake. That video, I basically eat the world's hottest gummy bear, and then I make a solder rod cable. My nerves were totally shot. I was sweating. I was like spasming, I think, and I just was having a ball. And so, as opposed to making an XLR cable in just about 10 minutes, it took me closer to 45. But I did talk a lot. No surprise there, right? Whew. Man, so brain dead. Well, I've got through all the questions. Finally. Oh. Okay, just got my first shotgun mic and boom polarized tomorrow. Very excited to work with an experienced cinematographer friend. What's a piece of advice for a beginner? Watch my 3BO series, man. When you watch my 3BO series, you'll learn a lot about management. You'll realize it's not just about holding the microphone. That's a very small part of it. There's a lot to being a boom operator. Make sure things are set up properly. Make sure your shock mount is not noisy. Make sure your cable management is spot on. Make sure that the microphone is isolated and you don't connect up a cable that goes straight to your boom pole and it's too much tension on it, which is going to basically reintroduce any vibration straight to the microphone. It's got to be well isolated. And then be smooth. Be very smooth and graceful with your movements. Don't go fast unless you absolutely have to. That's usually some starter tips right there. Time to barbecue mic. I've already done that. I've done 2 different ones, I believe. Maybe I should watch how soldering video for cables. Yeah. Is it better to buy large bags and fit as many gears as possible at the expense of weight, or smaller bags at the expense of having to carry more and keep your eyes on? That's your preference. I do both. Sometimes what I'll try to do is I'll try to be organized. My foul weather gear bag is big enough to carry all my stuff. Barely. But I could get another bag and have more room for the stuff in there. But I kind of like the size of it. I like it being smaller. I like it being more compact. And the disadvantage, though, with having overly big bags is that if it's not full, it's going to be much more difficult to move. So, yeah. What's your favorite interface for recording interviews over a phone? I don't do that. Allen boom pole around 600 to 700-ish. Cabled or uncabled? What kind of cable configuration? Usually I'd say consignment has some pretty good deals in that. If you go to True Audio's website, is one of the best ones because it has a consignment area to it. It's called used on the side. And what their system is, where you see a product that's listed, you can contact True at the email address and say, hey, I'm interested in this product. It sells for this. Do you think they'd take $25 off? And then what they'll do is they'll go back to the other company, the other person, and say, are you willing to take $25 extra off? And if they say no, then it means that it's just going to sit there unless you decide to go on up and pay the price that they're asking. But if they say yes, you got yourself a new boom. Most of the time, if you get yourself a $600 or $700 boom pole, it's going to be probably used, and it's probably going to be in pretty good condition. So there you go. what do you think of the new place? I like it. It's just, I tell you, it's been so expensive to set up, man. It has been so expensive. I was not expecting to not be able to use my old background, but setting up the new background, not including the Atom Audio A7Xs, which is $750 each, and then the Sub 8, which was like almost $1,100. So aside from that $2,600, yeah, I think I think it was around $1,700 to set up the studio the way it is right now. That's not including everything that's currently set up, and I bought more stuff that I haven't integrated just yet. So I do like it, though. I do like the new place. Just bought an MKH 8060. Chose it over the 416 for voiceovers. Yeah, it's a good mic. It's a good mic. Absolutely. Mm. Man, I'm falling off, guys. I have a hard time staying focused. All right, questions have died off. I'm slowly fading. I hate to say it, but I'm probably going to call the stream there. I know it's only an hour and a half. But, I mean, you can look at the stream, and my eyes are getting heavier and heavier. I basically have slept like 4 to 4.5 hours the past few nights. And then last night I only slept like 3 hours and 15 minutes, I think. And then I worked 14 hours in the sun today. And it's just been long time. Long day. And so right now I've been awake for almost 21 hours. So I'm just so brain dead. Anyway, thanks for staying with us and get some sleep. Yeah, I am going to do, probably in a couple weeks, I'm going to do another live stream. I will do it first thing in the morning, most likely, where I can do it more for people in Europe and Asia. Because most of the time they miss out on live streams. Like right now, people in the UK are not able to see this because they're asleep. So at the end of long streams, they're going to end up saying, "Oh, you're just now, ending the stream." And yeah, so what I need to do is a live stream for them. So I'm probably going to do one on a Saturday morning, really early, and then feel free to join. That's just what I'm looking forward to. I will be moving into my own place in July. It's kind of funny keeping acoustics in mind for what I'm looking at. I think, Eldest, if you want to do something like what I did in this setup, I think you'll be impressed with it because I actually do like it. Watch for my video. Allie, do you like jazz music? No, not really a huge fan. I was wondering, how do you become a boom operator? What kind of study leads to it? You mentioned teaching is audio engineering courses. No. A lot of it's just trial and error. A lot of it is learning some of the basics. Watch my 3BO series, and you'll learn about it. Appreciate your content, by the way. Keep it going. Thank you so much. Rest well. I will. Thanks for the stream. It was nice to chill for a bit. Thank you. Thank you very much for the donation, Eldest. Alan, have a great night. I appreciate it. But I'm definitely going to call it there. You've seen me start to, like, on the stream. It's terrible. I'm gonna fall asleep on a stream, and of course Eldest happened to be there for that, so he's gonna be seeing that, and next time I talk to him he's gonna heckle me. Anyway, all right, y'all, you take care. Thank you very much for tuning in tonight. I'll see you again sometime soon.